Hello again, everyone. My name is Mark Cabrera, working with you guys today with a seminar that deals with success, the qualities of successful people. So, talking about characteristics, right? 8 characteristics of successful people. One of them is leadership skills. When people tell me, well, you don't have to be a leader to be successful, well, the first thing that I would say to that is in order for you to get anything done, is you need to learn how to lead yourself. When I say lead yourself, is being able to be self-accountable, and also you have the internal drive that leaders have to create something, create a vision, and all these qualities that leadership skills, that breakdown of the leadership skills that is required for you to be able to lead yourself. So the integrity within yourself is leadership in its own. So the more you acquire and learn about what leaders do, great leaders do, you'll understand exactly how you yourself can lead yourself, if that makes sense. The next thing that we're going to be discussing today would be motivated. This is a quality that successful people have across the board. You have to constantly be motivated to be able to get to your goals. The reason being is without that, it becomes more difficult for you to make it there. So that's a quality that we're going to be discussing as well. Visionary. Successful people have a vision of what success looks like. See, for you to define success is to achieve a particular aim. If you're looking at a particular aim, you have to be able to envision what that aim looks like. So when you set a goal, you have to picture yourself being there. And that's something that's discussed in a book that I've learned, that I've actually read many, many times. It's from Napoleon Hill, the Think and Grow Rich. It's an amazing book. That book allows you to kind of learn how the thought process works, that with the number one thing that you need to have is a vision that you believe in. And that belief system will drive you, keep you motivated to get to where you need to go, which is the actual results. Accountability. This is something that we don't have enough of. And bottom line is, insecure people, which all of us have our own little insecurities, tend to want to blame everybody else, but hold themselves accountable to why they succeed or fail. And it's interesting because there's people out there that will tell me, oh, well, you're not accountable. The reality of it is, I'm not accountable to them. I'm accountable to myself. I know what I'm able to accomplish. I know what I'm able to do. And I don't have to answer to anyone in order for me to be able to accomplish what I'm trying to do. That goes back to the whole leadership skills, goes back to that fact that being motivated allows you to kind of keep going, because there's going to be people out there that will not trying to knock you down, and being able to create a vision that you believe in. So if you have a vision of what something would look like when you succeed, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to make it there kind of attitude, you're not making it there. I can tell you right now. Because the minute something happens that will obstruct the obstruction or a problem that comes up, you're not going to be able to solve it, or you wouldn't want to solve it, or it's too much work to solve it, and then you give up. All of us have our own stories of what we gave up at some point in our lives. And that's the reality. We give up something at some point. But the question is, have you learned from it? Because successful people don't give up. A lot of the times that vision that they have, they believe it so much that it's just going to happen the way that it's going to happen. Makes a huge difference. Consistent. This characteristic of being consistent is another aspect that we're going to be discussing today. And that part allows a build-up process that actually creates a build-out. So it's the flywheel effect that was talked about at a book that I've read. It's called Good to Great by Jim Collins. And that book teaches you what successful company does and how consistency affects your flywheel. He called it the flywheel effect. Like you're creating an input on a consistent basis of the same input. And the flywheel in the beginning doesn't move as much. And as it goes and goes, it builds up momentum. And it actually creates, it spins much, much faster than when you started with. So it's a whole build-up process. That's what success looks like. It doesn't happen overnight. I mean, unless you're winning the lottery, which is, mostly luck in that sense. Growth and personal development. This is another area that I feel that if you were to succeed in real estate or any other field that you're going to get into, you have to constantly try to figure out different angles, different ways to approach things, different ideas to go at it, I would say everything is different from every different angles of people who wrote books before. So what you do is you allow those books to teach you something that you can apply in your career or in your business or in your life. Because believe it or not, our personal life affects our business life. Our business life affects our personal life. It's a vice versa effect. So whatever you do at home, if you're having issues, I guarantee you the rest of the parts that you need to take care of in the business side of it also is getting affected. So it's very important that you understand that personal development allows you a different perspective so that you can resolve those issues. That's another area that a characteristic of a successful people have. Mastery of self. That's partially self-discipline, but the other part of it is actually literally a mastery of a skill that most people don't have, or they do have, but only a few people possess. And the reason why is you've been working on those areas and you become more effective in those particular areas. I'll give you more example of that later. And influential. Successful people are influential. This is how things get done. If you are influential to people around you, you're able to move certain goals that you have to the next benchmark. The reason being is because if you look at the most successful people out there, they don't work alone. 95 to 99% of them had somebody around them to assist them to get to where they need to go. People like Elon Musk or people like Steve Jobs or those people that created huge companies, they don't work by themselves. In some ways or another, they need to be influential in order for them to actually achieve their goals. So these are the qualities that I've seen that's very beneficial to your success. Leadership. Leadership starts with yourself. That's exactly what I mentioned earlier. And it's kind of interesting. We don't think about it this way. But it's the same thing as if you're looking at love. When people tell me love, and they tell me like, oh, people don't love me. Well, the number one person that needs to love you is you. And that's once you're able to do that, then people will learn to love you because you can teach them how to love you. It's the same thing with leadership. If you learn how to lead yourself, which means when you are dedicated in a way where you start something, you finish it, in a way that when you set yourself out to do something, you don't give up on it. These are qualities of leading yourself to success. Just because we can't lead others, nor companies, or innovate without leadership. If you look at all the organizations, successful organizations out there, they have leaders. It's now normal and it's natural because somebody has to create the vision, right? But more importantly is you yourself would want to have a direction. So if you're working for a company, they give you their mission statement, their vision, and everything's already laid out to you, for you. And then you make a certain amount of income based on the kind of work that you do, right? But in order for you to excel, you need to actually acquire skills. And if you think about how management in a company or a corporation becomes a position that you can partake in once you learn how to lead people. Leadership is more effective than managing. There's many different styles of management, but the leadership style of management makes it so much easier for people to follow because they can understand exactly the direction you're going. They can understand where you're taking them, how you're taking them there. And also they can predict who you are as a person. And leadership is something that we learn. Sometimes people say, oh, you're a born leader. I don't think so. Leadership is learned. It's not something that you are actually born with, okay? This is something that you learn, and maybe you learned it as a child, being an oldest sibling, and you have to kind of get everybody to follow, and you learn through it as you go, or you learn it through school, which most of the time there's not even many leadership schools out there, even in universities. They teach you the technical side, how to become an employee or how to follow, but very rarely they teach you how to be an entrepreneur. There are schools out there for that, but 90% of the schools teaches you how to be an employee. I don't know if you noticed that, but that's just the way the systems work. And leadership is earned. So when you're looking at it from companies, sometimes people get promoted to different places in regards to being able to go into management or things like that they can go from a technical type of work and they become a manager of other people. But for people to really listen to that manager, they have to have those qualities of leadership. Motivated. I picked this particular photo because I thought it was kind of interesting. He's wearing a suit trying to climb a rock climb, try to get to the top, right? If this is what it takes to succeed in business, I mean, this is exactly what this person is doing. Motivation creates the drive, and drive is actually kind of a little bit kind of finicky. Some people have it in their characteristic to be driven, but you also could be driven the wrong way. And getting motivated in the right direction or in the places where you're trying to achieve a particular outcome of success, or what you saw earlier, what the definition of success is really about being able to have some type of a mission statement that keeps you going, so that when you get up in the morning, you're excited and you'll have that drive to actually keep going and have that, I would say, the attitude that it takes to get where you need to go, which means nothing gets in your way in that sense. And motivation removes excuses. So when you're motivated to accomplish something and you're trying to get to where you need to go, in the morning, it's kind of interesting. Every morning when I get up, the first thing I think is like, what will it take for me to get to where I need to go? What will it take? And then I start thinking in the process of, okay, this is what I'm doing today. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I need to change my life and be able to have a retirement home, looking at it in Florida, possibly a place in the Philippines, possibly a place in Ukraine. So I'm thinking of being able to spread myself out, but all of that requires a certain amount of success in our field. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to do prospecting today. I need to be able to figure out exactly how I can reach more people and be able to influence more people. So through the mentoring program, I'm able to help other agents get through their career and actually start making income. So to me, one of my objectives is always to impart my knowledge to others, be able to help people solve their issues that they're having in their transactions. One of the things that I look forward to do is to be able to create systems and processes to make things more efficient. So for me to keep myself motivated, that's the one thing that goes through my head. What will it take for me to get to where I need to go? This is like a little phrase I put for myself that helps me kind of think through the process of what I'm going to be doing today, because I need to break that down into bite-sized pieces so I get more excited and more realistic about what I'm trying to accomplish. Motivation propels action. So once you've gotten to the point that you're excited about doing something, right? Now it's a matter of making that phone call or meeting that client or meeting that agent or doing this kind of work that I'm doing, which is seminars. I put together these seminars, or being able to manage properties, right? So it propels me to take action, because at the end of the day, I already set my goal for the day, that what I'm going to be accomplishing. And I want to make sure that I get through the day making sure those to-do lists are done. Once everything is done, then I work on my taking care of my kids, taking care of my family, and then having time for myself. See, that's one thing that people don't realize. For you to stay motivated, you also need time for yourself. Motivation enhances innovation, because you have to figure out ways to make sure that you arrive to your goal or to your aim or to the achievement you're trying to accomplish. In order for you to do that, there's more than one way to get there. And when you're motivated, it makes you really think about many different ways to get to your goal. And motivation helps fuel that. That's actually, I would say, the gasoline that goes in your car that keeps you driving. Okay? And motivation removes the obstacles that get in the way. See, a person that's not motivated will not go through hardship to get there. And if you look at most of the successful people out there, they fail. And that's part of the story. It's not something that they all of a sudden became successful. In most cases, they fail before they succeed. And they fail not just once. Some of them fail multiple or even hundreds of times. Even the story of KFC, the owner, the Colonel Sanders scenario. I don't know if you've actually kind of looked up his story, but nobody wanted to really take on his recipe of the chicken. And today, if you notice, he's all over the world. Same thing with McDonald's. The idea of franchising wasn't really popular back then. And the whole Ray Kroc, the person that actually started that McDonald's, took it around the world in thousands and thousands and millions of people actually being served, right? So that motivation keeps it going, even there's obstacles that get in the way where it makes it more difficult for that person to try to move forward. So the importance of the motivation that you have inside you and maintaining that motivation is really key to your success, because you won't easily give up on anything when you're motivated to get to where you need to go. And motivation builds momentum. So motivation, to me, I look at it from our emotions and what direction our emotions are going. If our emotions is in that belief system, then you start to build something. And that momentum gets you even more motivated. Imagine if you sold your first home and then you get 2 other contracts right behind it, right? That you just ratified. Your motivation drives more motivation. And then another contract comes in. Next thing you know, you're closing 4 or 5 transactions, right? Now you're really motivated because you're seeing the results or the fruits of your labor. Because a lot of the times our business requires 3 to 6 months for us to even see the result. I have someone I'm mentoring right now that actually couldn't make it here today. And she mentioned, I have 4 appointments today for clients. Great. But a year ago when I started with her, she had 0 appointments. She has sold nothing. She's already sold some houses. But then more importantly right now is all those work that I've been telling her that, that make it hang in there kind of thing. Now she's seeing the labor, the fruits of the labor, the momentum. That's actually with all that work that she's done that she was in the beginning not excited about. But as a mentor, my job is to actually kind of tell her, listen, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a way for you to see all these things, but you have to understand that there's no instant gratification in this business. It requires a consistent, motivated effort to get there.